السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Am I audible to all of you? Can you hear me? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما. الحمد لله على كل حال ونعوذ بالله من حال أهل النار. I welcome all of you all to this webinar on growing together in faith and love. First and foremost, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this a beneficial gathering where we live where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the divine assistance to practice the good what we discuss and help us to teach others and benefit the whole mankind. Ameen. Yeah, can you all hear me now? Is my volume loud enough?
Not very loud, Ustad.
Now?
Okay, Ustad.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Right. Yeah, so what I was mentioning is we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us benefit through this gathering and may He help us to practice what we learn and also teach it to others where others are also able to make their family lives better. Okay, so let's get right into the topic because we have very limited time. And right from the beginning, I would like to request all of you all to interact during this session. Right, we'll be asking questions from you. So more you interact, inshallah, it will be beneficial to all of us. I will share your questions, your suggestions, your ideas, your opinions are all most welcome. Okay. So this webinar is for 2 days. So today being the first day, we will cover the first part of the webinar, that is growing together in faith. And inshallah, during the next class, we will cover right. So usually there is, we come across some individuals who tell us that before marriage, I was religious, I was committed to various different types of, a'mal, rituals, good deeds, when I was a bachelor, when I was single. But when I got married, that is not the case. I expected my marriage to, help me excel, go to the next level. But I don't see that. I am less practicing now. I used to make a lot of dua before marriage. Now I got married. I am a mother. I'm a father. My duas have dropped. And I used to pray tahajjud, but now I find it very difficult to wake up. And, this type of discussion is found. I think you would also come across many couples who say the same thing. So inshallah, I hope this particular webinar within the next 1 hour's time will give you some idea about how to, handle this, how to, I wouldn't say overcome that, but how to be married, how to be a wife, how to be a husband, and at the same time, grow together with our iman, with our a'mal and things like that. Okay, how many of you are joining with your spouse? If you could raise your hands, please. Like, can raise your hands up and say, so you and your partner are taking part. 1, 2, 3, good. 4. Right, mashallah. So there is, okay, good. Alhamdulillah. So almost 20%, 20 to 25% of the audience in this webinar are joining with their partners. Very happy to hear that. Okay, good. Now, before we get into, the topic, let me give a brief introduction. As the family unit is a micro unit in the society. Right? All of us would agree to that. So we are a very small unit. Some families will have, it's only the husband and wife, and then some of them will have a child or 2, 3, 4. The numbers differ according to the couples. But at the end of the day, a family is a small unit in a society, in the community. But the impact and many families put together will make a society. So many families creates a community and a society. Now, the point to note is, even though a family unit is a micro unit, the impact families can make to the society is large, it's huge, it's massive. So if we have healthy families, we can expect healthy societies. If we have unhealthy, weak families, we have to expect weaker and unhealthy societies. Because these families are the ones, these are the parents who are bringing up the next generation. And if they fail to do that in the right manner, if they fail to live as good parents, then we can't expect much from that particular society. So therefore, parents have to bear in mind, the husband and the wife has to bear in mind that even though our children are little small and maybe they are in their teenage or whatever age, even though they are 2, 3, 4 small in number at home, but this child can bring a huge impact to the society. So that's how the family unit works. So as Muslims, we believe that there is a huge impact with regard to a successful family, and a successful family reaches that level only when they have faith as their primary objective, right? So faith is the primary thing. So inshallah ta'ala, in this webinar, we shall discuss about practical tips and strategies to build a'mal in the relationship, inshallah. So we start with the hadith where Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, when a person gets married, he has completed half of his religion. So let him fear Allah Ta'ala with regard to the other half. It is a hadith which most of us are aware about. But this says, it means a person hasn't completed half of his religion if he is not married. No matter what worldly accomplishments a person can attain, if he is not married according to Islam, he is still not completed at least half of his faith. Anyways, scholars write a very simple explanation to this hadith, which I think all of us will be able to remember. They say there are two things which will take a person to the wrong fate, like a wrong destiny or wrong destination. A person can end up in hell either because of one of these two things, his tongue or his private parts, right? A person can end up in hell because of this. If a person doesn't safeguard, if people don't safeguard their private parts, they commit zina and those types of immorality, that leads to hell. If a person misuses the tongue given to him, this person too ends up in hell. So this can be supported by different narrations from Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't have time to go into all that, but this is it. So when a person gets married, scholars say this person is able to protect his private parts from haram. So he will not commit zina, or the person will not look for any external options to fulfill their desires. So that wouldn't happen. So they protect their private parts through marriage. So all what they need to fear is the tongue. How did they use the tongue? So if they use the tongue right after marriage, whether it is with their spouse, with whoever it is, if they use their tongue in the right manner, this person will find salvation. That's the simple explanation of this hadith. Right, now coming back to the question we had right at the beginning. Yes, before marriage I was more committed, but now I am not. So what is this hadith trying to say? Right, okay. We'll come to that inshallah. The second hadith, so basically I'm trying to lay the foundation for the discussion. So we start with this hadith. The second hadith is also something which most of us know, but this is again just to refresh our memory, where Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "May Allah Ta'ala have mercy on a man who stands at night to pray and wakes his wife to pray. If she refuses, he sprinkles water on her face. And then may Allah have mercy on a wife who stands at night to pray and wakes her husband to pray. If he refuses, she sprinkles water on his face." So you can see, according to this hadith, that husband and wife are both helping each other, right? So there are situations the husband might fall asleep more than the wife. There are some instances the wife might fall asleep as well. It clearly says that each one is going to support the other person with regard to standing up during the night for prayers. So this hadith highlights the night prayer, that if you look at the other rituals or other actions we do in life, the husband and wife, if they are to approach their partners in this manner, insha'Allah ta'ala, Allah will shower his mercy upon them as well. So keeping these two hadiths in mind, get married, you have completed half of your faith, and receive Allah's mercy by helping your spouse to wake up during the night for prayers. Now let's go into a small case example. Let's go into a small case example. I'll give you a minute to read this. These names are different, right? These are not, don't think there is some couple known to you whose name is Fatima and Ali. This is their case, but this is a random one. This is an example of a couple. So you can see Fatima and Ali are newlywed couple who have been married for 2 years. They are both devout Muslims who prioritize their faith in their daily lives. However, they have different approaches to practicing Islam. Fatima grew up in a family that followed a more traditional interpretation of Islam, while Ali grew up in a more liberal household. Yes, he practices Islam, but he was more liberal household. That's where he was brought up. Initially, they enjoyed discussing their different views and learning from each other. But however, as they settled into married life, they started to encounter some conflicts related to their faith. For example, Fatima would feel frustrated when Ali did not want to attend the mosque for Salah, or when he did not observe the same religious rituals as she did. Ali, on the other hand, felt that Fatima was too rigid in her approach to Islam and did not appreciate his more flexible approach. Have you come across couples like this? Have you heard of couples who have faced something similar to this? Yes. Yesterday, I received a message. Similar problem that in that relationship, and it was faith which has separated the couple. It is Islam which has separated them. See, so we come across this. We'll come across more examples, inshallah, but the reason I put this case example to you is for us to know this is just one scenario. This is just one scenario where faith became a challenge to a couple. Islamic practices became a challenge to a couple. This is just one example. Okay. Right. Now let's discuss about the benefits of growing together in faith. Now, I'm pretty sure most of you who are here are married. Even if you are not married, it is all right. You can take part, it will be beneficial. Let's discuss about the benefits of growing together as a couple with regard to our iman and a'mal and all that. Yes, what are some benefits? Then after the benefits, we shall discuss about the challenges, inshallah. And with the challenges, we will come to solutions as well. So then the example we read just now, Fatima and Ali, that will be covered there, inshallah. You can give your answers. You can type your answers in the chat. What are some benefits of growing together? Spiritually growing together. Yes. So when all of you all can open your chat, then you can see the answers given. Very good. So Fahad says happy life. Sorry. So it leads to a happy life. It leads to understanding. There's a good understanding between the two. So happy, peaceful, all, it's the same. Then we have it creates unity between the couple. Creates unity. Okay, that becomes a support system. Very good. Both of them are supporting each other. What else? Okay, there will be pious offspring, referring to children. You tend to learn more about, so you get to educate yourself about Islam, the teachings of Islam, by sharing your knowledge. Very good. It helps in the tarbiyah of the children, good understanding, mutual understanding. What else? Right, during conflicts, start doing the right thing. Sorry. Start doing what is right. So this could mean even during conflicts, right? So these are some of the answers you have given. Very good. Jazakallah khaira. Let's see what we have. So when it comes, your answers are all correct. There's nobody who has given a wrong answer, right? Maybe same repetition in a different wording was there. That's why I didn't repeat it. Give me a minute, please. Okay. So what happens is there is joint effort. So husband and the wife, they start working together with regard to their spiritual goals. So it's a joint effort. So when some of the benefits of working together or the joint efforts is what you have mentioned here. So we have joint efforts. So they start working as a team. They start working as a team. Can you think of some examples? Anybody who can give some examples where both are working together and it is practical in our scenario as well, in our culture, with the resources we have? Yes. Having a routine. Okay, good. If you can elaborate that further, brother Umair. Okay. So when it comes to joint efforts, listening to Islamic lectures together, both wake up for tahajjud and make dua for the children, deeds done for the sake of Allah. Right. Now look at it like this. Joint efforts, reading ta'aleem at home, having an a'mal routine, very good. Now, when it comes to a joint effort, in addition to what you're saying, consider points like where both of you start focusing on a project-like thing. Some couples might focus on sadaqah, for example. So maybe they have planned to donate maybe a certain amount of money in order annually for a family to get, for them to help a family without water to get a water line, or to build a well, to help someone needy in the family. So they identify someone in the family, and then the couple starts to discuss about, how they can help this person by next year, or they come up with a project together. So they have their goals clear, right? And then they work towards it. So in the scenario where they want to come up with the Sadaqah project, maybe the husband might have to contribute a certain amount every month. So maybe there is someone needy in the family who wants to get married. They are struggling financially. Maybe this couple, based according to their financial capacity, they think about, let's do this. Let's collect this many thousands and then give it to this family. So every month, the wife reminds the husband, or the husband reminds the wife. They come up with some, method where they start to do this jointly. So when this happens, whenever they see the till, or whenever they see that, that reminder, they start to feel, they are doing something together. That is like a macro project. There might be the ones which is done on a daily basis, like having an amal routine, like which is mentioned here, making up for tahajjud. These things can be done on a daily basis, right? Maybe sometimes volunteering in certain areas. Maybe this couple has a number of, they have children, or they want to go, they don't have children, but they want to go and go to an orphanage and help them with something, right? Maybe buy some stationery for them, or buy something which they need, or they can go to an elder's home and do some needful things there. Maybe go and give them a meal, meet them, talk to them, and come back. So this is done as a couple, or if they have children, they take their children along with them as well. So joint efforts is going to, increase the love and respect they have towards each other. So when there are joint efforts, they will start loving each other, and they will start love and respect. Because end of the day, the other person is, helping us to come out, do something. And there are some instances these joint efforts can also refer to not only doing good deeds, even avoiding the bad also could come in. Maybe the husband has told his wife, or the wife has told her husband, please remind me if I talk about the third person, so where I come out of it. So let's say one day husband is talking about some third person, talking bad about a person. So the wife politely reminds the husband, hints the husband that, I think we are backbiting about someone, let's stop. So this too can come. So this is number one, joint efforts. Another important thing through the benefits of working on the Iman is common goals and priorities. Common goals and priorities. Now, when both spouses are focused, they want to, focus on their Iman, they want to focus on their A'mal. This leads to their common goals and priorities. And by that, this couple starts to identify obstacles, sometimes certain negativities in the relationship as well. So what happens is, when both of them are having common goals and priorities, that can lead to strengthen their relationship. Why are we doing this? So they have a common goal, like one of the sisters has mentioned, I think, where both are focusing only on seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let's say, yes, they came up with the charity project, but they didn't receive, the people whom they helped were not grateful, or they started to hear something else after it was given. So maybe the other person will start to remind them about their goal, their objective behind this entire project was to seek Allah's pleasure. We shouldn't lose that, we shouldn't forget that. So this person comes to support the other person. Maybe one person might be disheartened about what happened. It can happen, but this person, the spouse, comes and helps them to keep their goals. They will have their common goals, but when whatever is helping them to reach that goal will be reminded, and they will get along. The third point is, I think somebody has mentioned this. Yeah, mutual understanding. It's mutual support. Number 3 is mutual support. So when each one encourages the other person, to do good, it creates mutual understanding and mutual support. This creates emotional connection between the two. When one person senses the other is mutually supporting, mutually understands them, so this brings the emotional part, it activates the emotional part in the relationship, right? So these are 3, this is the third one. The fourth one is gratitude. Gratitude and appreciation. This thing also comes in, right? So when there's gratitude and appreciation, because the moment the faith comes in, there's gratitude and appreciation. What happens there in the relationship and in that house is there'll be happiness, there'll be harmony, there'll be positivity, positive atmosphere at home, which helps the couple and the children. So overall, the entire family is strengthened the moment the husband and the wife, the mother and the father, both join to do these type of things, right? So this environment, this home environment where we see this, it's an environment where there is morality, they will have values, they will have discipline, they will have, they'll start practicing the faith, and eventually it leads to a peaceful home, which many are trying to attain. Right, so these are the benefits. And then let's quickly run through some practical tips, which we have already done. But again, to remind ourselves before we go into discussing the challenges. So if you know anyone, yeah. So do you have any practical tips in addition to what was already mentioned? So there we were talking about the benefits and we took certain things as examples. What practical tips would you recommend for a couple? They can do together, they can help each other. I know there'll be a long list, but go ahead. Somebody, you can share something unique as well. Maybe you tried it and it really works. Yes, some practical tips. Maybe some of us who are already having some, but by looking at the list, by looking at your answer, it could
okay, thank you.
It could encourage somebody to see to bring in those things, inshallah. Some practical tips in working on the Iman together. Okay, is there anyone? Okay, household chores, even though we are. Yeah, that is on a person. Now, I have narrowed down the topic to our connection with Allah. How we can build that relationship. Yes, attending to household chores, true. It's also part of spirituality. It shows how much values we have. It's a good thing. Getting our connection with Allah, getting close to Allah, getting our partner to help us. No excuse when practicing, one step at a time. I don't, what's your point? If you can be specific, Sister Azana?
For example, if you start a new amal, fresh start, then you have to start as a first step at a time. And once you start to continue it, You're not going to be lenient in that. You don't give up. You continue throughout. Even if it's a small amal, you continue it.
Okay.
Most of the couples, what they do, they start, they boost up and they continue. After some time, they give up.
Yes. So start with something small, but make sure it is consistent.
Yes.
Okay. That is what we call istiqama. Right? So this is an important point. Sometimes we go to some lecture, or we listen to some random lecture on YouTube or some social media or TikTok, 1 minute clip. Then we suddenly become, start practicing it, and it's just a couple of days off, a couple of weeks. That shouldn't happen. That is why we need the support of the other person in order for them to encourage us, remind us, and things like that. Okay, let me give you a few things which could be done. So one of the practical things to start off it is salah, right? Yes, all of us pray, but the question is how many of us are really praying, right? That's the question. Now, when it comes to prayer, when your husband is different compared to you, because if you are living at a distance where your husband can go to the masjid, it's time that you encourage him to go to the masjid and perform his 5 times salah. Right? Okay, maybe during the working days, he's unable to go to the masjid for all 5, but still, Fajr, at least Isha, whenever he's at home, to send him to the mosque to perform the salah. Staying far away from the masjid, that's an exception. Then when it comes to a sister, there the husband is encouraging the wife to perform her salah on time. Right? The husband reminds the wife, okay, the azan has been called, you better pray now. And he tells that and he leaves to the masjid. This is like the ideal scenario it should be. So praying together and working together on the prayer is something which needs to be followed. Because nowadays, to consider if somebody wants to, check their level of faith and iman, one of the best ways to do that is just do a self-analysis, self-assessment about your personal self. Do you pray on time? That's it. Do you pray on time? Ask yourself, do I pray on time? If you say yes, that means you are amongst the few who do it. Because men who go to the masjid, they know that the number of musallis in the masjid are very few. Who come on time for salah are very few. Maybe in that particular locality, there will be 1,000 men, but the number who come to pray will be about 60 to 70. Sometimes lesser than that as well. So, salah is a good point to start with. Because when we pray, we tend to, a lot of things come into that package. In salah, we get dua. We start making dua while seated in the musalla itself. We start doing zikr. And we start doing nothing. After salah, we tend to be more relaxed. So when we are relaxed, we start to get ideas. We get different motivations. Allah opens up our minds to different things. Because after salah, we don't do anything. Some people think, if I'm feeling bored, it's something bad, but in reality, it is good in some way. So salah opens the door for dua, zikr, and you are feeling more relaxed. Okay. Another joint amal could be dua. This dua here, which I've highlighted. So where the husband and the wife frequently makes dua. So all those who are here with your partner, with your spouse, practice this. If you're not married, the first night you meet your spouse, both of you get together and pray. Start your marriage life with salah. Tell this to your friends, your family, your siblings, whoever you know are going to get married. Ask them to start their marriage life with salah. Follow salah with dua. So once in a while, making dua as a family is another way of being spiritually up. So the dua need not be in Arabic, right? Follow the basic, recommendations for dua, and start making dua where the other person, the family, starts to hear what your dua is. So here too, now let's say the couple has children. the father starts to make the dua and the children start to listen to the father. So the children start learning how to make dua. Right? There are so many elders who don't know how to make dua. There might be some instances the father is unable to make it to that particular during that time because he has a meeting at workplace or some valid reason. Still, the mother gets the children, makes them sit, and then she starts to make the dua. So one thing is, we sometimes tell our children, make dua, ask Allah for this, ask Allah for your toys, ask Allah for this. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, if we can make them listen to what we are asking Allah, they tend to learn from that as well. So they are going to see the father cry during the dua. They're going to see the mother crying in the dua, which is a very, very good thing, right? It's not low, or it's not unmanly to cry in dua in front of the children and spouse. So sincerely making dua and crying to Allah, putting forward our needs. Maybe one of our children are having their exams, and we mention that exam to Allah, and we make a lot of dua for our daughters and sons. So they listen. Maybe there's someone who is suffering from a sickness. We make dua for them. So this creates that, a lot of things. Children learn how to make dua. The belief in Allah keeps increasing. The trust in Allah comes in. The unity is created. The family starts to sense that each one cares for the other. A lot of benefits through dua as well. Right? Okay. Then the next thing we can do is connecting with the Quran. Right? It's not just open the Quran and read it, but it's more than that. So let's say the husband tells his wife, you can recite and I will listen to you. And it can work the other way around as well. So where the husband recites, the wife listens, the wife recites and the husband listens. Maybe short surahs. Maybe the last 10 surahs of the Quran, from Alam Tara Kaifa to Qul A'udhu bi Rabbin Nas. So where one of them or the entire family sits together and then they start to recite and they repeat. Sometimes parents tend to ask, how can we make our children memorize du'as? How can we make them memorize the du'as in salah? At-tahiyat and various other du'as connected to salah. How can we make that happen? One of the easiest ways is sit as a family and then start reciting what you know. And let the family repeat after you. And there are many children who have learned, many du'as in this manner. So they sit together, the head of the family or the mother will recite, and then the children follow. Now let's say the husband knows a dua which the wife doesn't know, or the husband knows a surah which the wife doesn't know. So him doing it is the same. Nowadays we come across many sisters who are interested to memorize the Quran. Yes, talk to your husband, encourage him. If you can listen to one page of my Quran, to spare some time for me. He doesn't know it by heart, but still he can help you in some way. So read the Quran and study the Quran together in whatever way possible. Okay. Right, let's move on now. Now let's go to the challenges and other tips. Of course, you can come up with yours, like the sadaqah and all these things I've already mentioned. Okay, then, yeah. Now we come to challenge number 1, overcoming common challenges. So this is a case example again. Faris and Aisha have been married for several years. But Faris has become increasingly committed to practicing Islam. He starts attending Islamic lectures and events on a regular basis and encourages Aisha to do the same, but she is not interested. This creates tension and conflict in the relationship, as Faris feels that his wife is not supportive of his spiritual pursuits. And Aisha feels that Faris is trying to force her to become more religious than she is comfortable with. Eventually, this tension leads to arguments and resentment, and the couple starts to drift apart. Now, what is the challenge in this example? What is the key challenge this couple is having? What is the main challenge? Yes, anyone? You can unmute and answer as well. It's not necessary you have to use only the chat. When you read this example, the wife is not practicing the religious activities which the husband says. True. Not being supportive to each other. Okay. Understanding with patience. What is the, like, if you can identify the
Expecting, yeah.
Yes.
Expecting the spouse should do the same when they start to increase their amal, the expectations.
Okay, you're close to it. Very good, very good. Expectations. Yes.
I just feel like in this, the main problem is without a conflict, she has to address things and he also have to understand that.
Okay. What is the base issue between these two? Yes. What is the main thing here? And then we can go into how to address it and how to handle it. That's true.
The main thing is Islam does not say each other to enforce anything other than fard. So no one can expect extra from each other.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Being
Brother.
judgmental?
Yes.
Being judgmental?
Being judgmental. Okay. Right.
Measuring their faith level, how they're practicing in the first course, and then expectations arises after that.
Yes. The main issue here is, Jazakallah khairah for, I think, Brother Azhar in the chat, the disparity in faith, their inequality, their difference in some, with regard to their commitment to the religion is the main issue here. It is not Aisha is not religious. She must be praying, she must be doing good things. But in this couple, the different levels of commitment is the main issue. Their commitment to their faith is two different, they are both doing it in two different ways. That is the main issue. So when that happens, all what you have mentioned comes in. Expectations, comparison, forcing, patience, trying to convince, trying to force, all that comes in because different levels of commitment. Now, when do couples fall into this type of a situation? Now, if you look at this situation, Faris and Aisha, what do you think their state would have been at the time of marriage? Do you think they had different levels of commitment with regard to their religiosity? They would have been the same, right? They would have been the same. Yes. But now, suddenly somebody becomes religious. Right? They become more committed. I wouldn't say religious because all of us are somewhere the other religious, but we get committed more to the faith. Some examples would be, we have in counseling, we come across sometimes. At the time of marriage, the wife tells the husband, no, I am not, I will be wearing in this particular manner. This is who I am. This is the way I dress. If you accept me with whatever I have, with whoever I am and whatever baggage I come with, just go ahead. I'm ready to marry you. So at that moment, there are many husbands who say, yeah, okay, alhamdulillah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with your the way of dressing and things like that. And after marriage, maybe after a couple of years, the husband becomes committed to the religion. He starts going to some lecture. He gets into a new group of friends. And now he feels that his wife's way of dressing is not as per Islamic teachings. Now he comes home and he tells his wife, come on, you have to stop doing this. You have to dress in this particular manner. And he starts to force into him. We have the other way as well. There are situations where a woman, there was an instance, one of the clients who had the husband found it very difficult to wake up for Fajr, and most of the time he ended up praying Fajr after sunrise, which is qada, which is wrong. Wife was she was a devout worshipper. She used to pray tahajjud. She was into Quran. She was into, a lot of good actions, good worship, acts of worship. But the problem with her was the approach she took wasn't right. So her approach made the husband feel like, never mind, let me burn in the hell, but I don't want to pray Fajr because of this person's approach. So we have both scenarios. In this scenario, Faris became, committed to practicing more. Some situations, Aisha can become the same. Right? Okay. Now, how do we handle this type of a situation? So as we age, this is also another reality. This is another reality. Sometimes some people overlook spirituality, piety at the time of marriage. Both parties, boy and the girl, both sides. They think, okay, this is Islam, and they follow the Islam which their families used to practice, right? Maybe they overlook certain Islamic practices. They ignore it, thinking that it's not practical in these times, or it's very difficult to follow, or it is not suitable for our family. They think that way, and both of them get along and they get married. But the reality is, when we tend to become older, as we age, we become very serious with our spirituality, without our knowledge. So let's say a person got married when they were 22. When they become 42, they are more committed to the faith most of the time than they were when they were 22. When they start falling sick, when they start having, the leg pain and the knee pain and the shoulder pain and all these pains come in, 45, now turning 48. Now they start realizing, okay, why did I come to this world? I have to become serious in life. And they tend to change there. There's nothing wrong in changing, but I'm saying is that is a point where the challenge starts for the couple. Right. Now, how do you think this couple can, ease the tension and come out of this thing? What could be done? One of the challenges, this challenge is because of different levels of commitment to the faith. What would you prescribe? He can slowly help to become committed. Okay, he can slowly help her to become more committed to her faith. During that, okay, good communication. Yeah, this is what I need. Good communication. So what is meant by give time, right? Give her time. What else?
Being patient while the change comes.
Okay, the husband needs to be more patient and know that he wasn't really just in the first place to her level, but she needs time. Very good.
Being hasty and trying to break off the family.
Sorry?
Being hasty, the woman being hasty and try to break off with the family.
No, we are discussing about the recommendations for this couple. So some of the points are directing the husband. Husband needs to communicate. Husband and the wife both have to have good communication. Husband has to give time. Husband has to make dua. Husband has to have patience. What else? Be an example. So lead by. So even this is for the husband, right? So this is for both husband, 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 husband. What about the wife?
For the wife is very, very important because this man has to anyhow cope up with so many outside matters, bringing up, earning, everything else he has to cope up, and then see to the needs of the wife who wants the
Mhm.
husband to be a pious man.
So you mean she has to understand his situation and then get along with what he's saying, is it?
Certainly. Very patiently, a wife can, she has to join the man because a man has more responsibilities to look
Mhm.
to the needs of the children, the earning, halal earning, and so many things. So when the wife joins the husband and be
Mhm.
kind and loving, then she can change him to some extent,
Okay,
Kind words and getting together with him is very important, please.
right. Okay, okay. Both have to pray together and read ta'aleem at home, okay? Understand each other better, behave in a way that will make her fall in love in being religious. Behave in a way which will make her fall in love in being religious. Be humble and not arrogant. Okay, good. Now, if we look at one key message to the husband would be, like what you all have, what's in this list is also applicable. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he preached Islam to his companions and they became his close friends, one thing he did was he was lenient with them. He was soft, he was gentle. This is the main thing here. So the husband needs to be lenient with his wife, very well knowing her commitment to the faith. I'm not saying he has to let her go, let her do whatever she wants. No, he has his responsibility of guiding her towards Jannah, but he has to be lenient. He has to be soft, right? He has to be soft. He has to be gentle with his approach. If not, what happens is she will start, only if he does this, she will start loving not only the husband, she starts loving what she is going to do or what she is doing. So what happens in some relationships is the husband is not gentle, he is not considerate about his wife, her upbringing and things like that. So he force feeds religion into them. So this person starts, so some women will start hating the deen. That's the problem with the woman. And that is because of the man's problem. This woman also fell into problem, right? She also fell into some trouble now. But on the other hand, and they start practicing for the sake of practicing. And the moment this man either passes away or some reason happens and there's a divorce which takes place, so that then the spouse starts to do whatever they want, right? So the husband should remember that they have to be farsighted. What is my objective? I want my wife to do this particular practice of Islam. So in order to attain that, what is the best route I can take? So you can take the highway and go in the short way, but it is dangerous sometimes. So it is better for you to take the long way, where you give them time, you have sabr, you have dua and all that. Start with this. When Musa alayhi salam was sent to Fir'aun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Musa alayhi salam to talk to Fir'aun with soft and gentle words. That was the directions given to him. Now, from the wife's side, what she's supposed to look at it is, instead of looking at who is telling her to do what, she is supposed to look at what is being said to me. If my husband is asking me to dress in a particular way, instead of arguing over, you just became religious recently, or, I know about your past, I know about your bad habits, I know about this. Instead of arguing over all that, instead focus on what is exactly being said to me. So what is being said is part of Islam. So if I am to practice that, I will get close to Allah. This is what she is supposed to do. So it works both hand in hand, like both together. It's not one person being gentle and the other person is arrogant. So both have to do their part properly. So if a woman was to accept that, in this scenario, if Aisha was to accept that, where Aisha says, okay, what you're saying does make sense. I know you want me to pray on time, or I know that you want me to dress in this particular way. I know it is part of Islam. I know it's good that I do it. She needs to acknowledge that. And at that time, she needs to open up the communication where she can ask for time. She can ask for time. Okay, can you, can you give me some time? I can't do it all of a sudden because of these reasons. Now comes the good communication. So when the time is given, it means there is a promise as well. She would have promised. And then there's good communication created now. The moment good communication is created, now the dua starts. So when the dua starts, now let's say the husband is making dua, now the wife will also start making dua. Because their good communication, they used to discuss about making dua. So the husband makes dua for his wife, and the wife makes dua for her to spiritually progress. The husband comes and tells his wife, last night I made dua for you, that Allah help you to, do this or do that. I have made dua for you. Now what happens? Love starts to, it starts to increase between the two of them. They start bonding better. When dua is made, alhamdulillah, sabr becomes easy because we have, trusted Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we will wait for his results. So it starts by being soft and gentle. Wife starts to think of what is being said to me, ask for time, have good communication, dua, and have sabr. Okay. Right. This is the next case example. This is another challenge, right? The first one was about, commitment was different. Look at this. Aisha and Ahmad had been married for 3 years, but lately their relationship has been strained. They had different opinions on how to practice Islam, and it was causing arguments and resentment between them. Aisha felt that she was more knowledgeable in Islamic matters and tried to correct Ahmad's understanding of the religion. Ahmad, on the other hand, felt that Aisha was too rigid in her approach to Islam and often dismissed her opinions, and often dismissed his opinions. As their disagreements continued, they both started to withdraw from each other, and their communication deteriorated. Aisha became resentful of Ahmad's lack of knowledge, while Ahmad felt belittled by Aisha's constant corrections. Eventually, they stopped discussing religion altogether and instead avoid the topic entirely. What is the key problem in this couple now? Just identify the problem. What is the key issue in this couple? Arrogance. The previous example, lack of commitment. In this example, lack of commitment from Aisha. Here, communication gap. You can go to the chat, we're getting the answers there. Lack of understanding, arrogance. Here, it's both of them are having religious knowledge. Given up on deen matters amongst each other. Too rigid in their own opinions. Okay. Here the problem, here the challenge is knowledge has become the issue here. Knowledge about the religion has become the main issue here. One person knows more than the other person is the challenge. Have you come across cases like this? Have you heard anyone? This could happen when the couples belong to, sometimes, I'm not saying it's always the case, right? When there is arrogance in a person, and at the same time, they have knowledge as well, religious knowledge. Sometimes they can be scholars as well. Sometimes they can be social workers who, participate in activities for the upliftment of the religion. It could be that as well. But the issue is lack of correct knowledge. They know the rulings of things, but they don't have the wisdom to handle the differences. This is the main issue in this couple, right? Okay. So lack of knowledge. So in Arabic, we have hukum, that is the ruling, and another word is hikmah, that is wisdom. These are two different things. Sometimes when one of the couples or both the couples are very educated about Islam, they talk about the rulings a lot. What is the ruling for this? What is the ruling for that? What does he say? What is the opinion there? What is the opinion here? What is the Quranic verse? And they tend to argue over that. They talk about the rulings a lot. But the key part is, along with the knowledge about the hukum, you're supposed to have the knowledge, you're supposed to have hikmah, which Allah gives to a selected group of people. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for hikmah, and this is a very tough scenario to handle as well. So before marriage, the best thing is to ask the spouse's family, do they belong to any group, any jama'ah? We have different types of, groups in the community. I'm not passing any label for any group, but sometimes some groups get along well. Sometimes some groups will look at each other as rivals. So have these things clear before marriage. If these challenges happen after marriage, then it's a tough situation to handle. But one person should give in as long as what the other person is saying is not contrary to the teachings of Islam. As long as what the other person is saying is not contrary to Islam, just keep silent and follow it, because you will not be punished for following it. Just give in, because your relationship matters, and you have to prioritize that. So here it could be men or women. It's both ways, right? Okay. The next one is another challenge we have. It's a very short example. Identify what is the challenge. Amjad and Hafsa come from different cultural backgrounds, and they have different interpretations of Islamic teachings and practices. They argue about issues such as how to pray, how to dress, what to eat, and they struggle to find common ground. This creates a lot of stress and tension in the relationship, and they start to feel like they are fundamentally incompatible. Eventually, they decide to separate and pursue their religious beliefs separately. See, this is somewhat similar to the previous one, but the problem here is some couples tend to mix culture with religion. Because of the lack of knowledge, they tend to mix culture with religion, and that leads to so many different things. So here, couples who are facing this have to be, open to, discussing about these things, approach the scholars. I usually would recommend, if your husband has a particular scholar whom he listens to, ask your husband, so talk to him about it. If your wife is listening to someone, get to know about the scholars they are listening to, get to know about each other, as long as they are not doing something which is un-Islamic. If they're doing something un-Islamic, that's a totally different scenario, right? So in this type of scenario, the couple needs to focus on shared values. Instead of looking at the differences, look at what both of you share, right? Shared values and principles from Islam. There will be certain denominators, you all will come to some common ground with regard to certain practices in Islam. Focus on that, agree on that, and work to become better in those things. Work to look at what you all share. I don't think anyone will say we are totally different if they are following the right thing. right? Okay. Another practical scenario we have is this. Sharaf and Zainab are both working professionals with demanding jobs and long working hours. They struggle to find time to engage in shared spiritual practices. They often have conflicting schedules, which makes it difficult to coordinate the activities and spend quality time together. This leads to feelings of frustration and resentment, and they start to feel like their spiritual growth is taking a backseat to their work commitments. They both start to feel burnt out and exhausted, which makes it even harder to find the motivation and energy to engage in spiritual activities. Over time, they start to feel disconnected from each other, and their relationship suffers as a result. See? So this is coming into our culture nowadays, where both husband and wife both go out to work, even though there's a small number, but still there's a practical scenario we see. What do you think this couple could do? Any ideas? How they can overcome from this? They are not having arguments about religious stuff, ikhtilaf, opinions. No. They don't have time. Husband comes home late. Wife comes at a different time. Husband comes at a different time. Husband works at a different time. Wife works at a different time. This also happens. What would you recommend? No answers? Sit down and talk to each other on how to resolve matters. Yes. They need to, because they're very busy, Yes, you can send a request to our Careline number and they will share the recordings, inshallah. Yeah, so what they need to do is, they are busy couples, they have got used to a corporate environment or work environment. They need to fix a time. That's number one. That's where they start, right? They need to sit and fix a time for these type of things. At least, like somebody mentions here, to start off with, at least once a week, they need to fix a time. There's no compromise on that. During the weekend, do something. And the other thing is, if they can, fix this time to talk about, then during this time, they need to discuss about their spirituality levels. They need to discuss about their prayers, how they pray, their Quran. They need to just talk about it. How many pages did you read? Or did you find the time to read in your office? Or when you went out? Did you listen to some Quran? Talk like that. What did you listen to in the Friday sermon today? Try to go to the masjid early, get back home. Today is a Friday, get back home, give me an update about what the sermon was about. Things like this, because they are very busy. At least nowadays, sharing some link of a bayan or a lecture, and then, talking about that particular link, about that video when they meet. So they give their reflections to it, and, they share their thoughts about the video and things like that could happen as well. Okay, so Exactly. So somewhere or the other, at least on WhatsApp or whatever, if they can keep themselves updated, they post, make sure they don't post something which they want to tell their partner. If there's a weakness in the partner, they don't send a video related to that. Instead of that, send a message which is common for both of them. Maybe small doses, maybe a short reminder. Things like this would help, inshallah. Okay. So we have come to the end of the session. Right. So if you have any questions now, you can send it to the chat. Yeah, before we answer the questions, yeah, you can send it to the chat, inshallah. Yeah, so we have a question. Can a wife express views sometimes request for Deeni matters from an alim husband or keep quiet. Can a wife express views, sometimes request for Deeni matters from an alim husband or keep quiet? Is your question like... Is your question, is it healthy for the couple to discuss about this? I didn't understand your question, sister. If you can rephrase it again. Others who have any questions, you can ask now. So basically, we have covered the key challenges. That will be the highlight here. So the first case study was got to do with different levels of commitment, right? So you will come across this scenario sometimes. So what the husband was supposed to do. Then there are situations, lack of knowledge. Then we had the cultural differences, again connected to the mixing culture with religion and how those things were managed. And the last one was busy schedules. So these are four key challenges people have when it comes to faith.
Hello.
Yes, sister?
In case of an alim, can a wife, when needed, express her views in regard to Deeni matters, or just keep quiet in regard because of the respect she's giving to him?
Is she also an alima?
No.
Okay, it depends on how it is put forward as well. And it depends on the person, the husband as well. So if the husband is a person, whether he's alim or not, if the husband is a very egoistic person, doesn't like to listen to what the wife has to say, that type of a person, and she knows what he's saying is not contrary to Sharia, then prevention is better than cure, right? Because he's an egoistic person, he doesn't like to listen to what the wife says, but approach him in a different way. So what would be the different methods? Maybe ask him, she becomes a student basically, right? She behaves with him as a student. So is there any opinion like this? Is it true? So she humbles herself in front of him, and then he is supposed to give a proper answer. That is his responsibility. So that is one way. So she becomes his student and approaches him in a way that she just wants to make sure, she wants to clarify something. That's her approach. She shouldn't compare her husband to another person when asking this. Now let's say there is a difference of opinion with regard to a particular mas'ala. She says, my friend also is married to an alim, but he is all right with her doing it. Why is it that you make it an issue? So are you trying to say that that alim is wrong and you are correct? No, this type of approaches is not right. So try to humble herself as much as possible, because he's not saying to do something un-Islamic. That would be the ideal approach.
Okay, Maulana, Jazakallah khair.
Healing process from the past problems needs time. Please explain how this works. Healing process. Can you be specific? Healing process from the past. If you can be specific, it will be easy. Okay. Yeah, I can give you time till you. Right. So this is the upcoming course, the marriage course, inshallah ta'ala. I think most of you would have come across this. We are starting this program on the 23rd of May. We'll be having 10 sessions, inshallah. It will be conducted on Tuesdays and Thursdays online. We have so far covered this content for almost nearly 1,000 participants. Alhamdulillah. So we remind you as well, if you join this course, inshallah, you will learn about the 5 areas or the 5 areas mentioned in the post as well. If you are married, if you know anyone getting married soon, this is something which I would recommend you to, you can ask them to join, or this would be a gift as well. You can gift this course to them as well, because what they're going to learn is going to affect their marriage lives, inshallah, in a positive way. We have a discount of 10% for group registrations as well. So if 3 participants join this course, so there'll be a 10% deduction. So for those details, you can WhatsApp the number in your screen. If you want to register, you can scan that QR in the screen as well, and then you can register. Yes, so I think there are a couple of you who have taken this course, who have followed this course as well in the past. You can recommend it to others as well. And at the same time, in the chat, we have sent the link to this, the application form for this course. You can send your details, and inshallah, Caroline will follow up with you. Okay, wife having, yeah, right. So the first part of this course, that is preparing for marriage, is the only area related to pre-marriage, and the other 4 roles of the couple, maintaining family ties, strengthening the bond, behind closed doors, are all got to do with post-marriage. So after marriage, how are you going to deal with these different areas? If anybody has issues with the finances, they can't afford the course fee, and if you are zakat eligible, you can drop a message to Caroline, and inshallah we can consider your request as well. But the only condition is you need to be zakat eligible. So if you know someone who is zakat eligible too, we can make arrangements for them as well, where they can pay a nominal fee, whatever they can, or if they are unable to pay anything, inshallah, we will consider them as well. Okay. With regard to this question in the chat, wife having problems with her in-laws and vice versa, how to make them united after so many problems? This is a very difficult question for us to answer in an online platform, sister. If you know this sister having these issues, ask her to call Caroline, and we have female counselors who can help her, where she can describe the problems in detail and get some support for that, inshallah. If not, because the answer to this will depend case by case. It's not a blanket, answer for everyone. So approach Caroline and request for a counseling session with a lady counselor, inshallah. Right. I hope to increase the faith. How to increase the faith, or how not to feel the relationship is being disconnected while the wife and husband lives in a different country. Okay. This again will be, keeping in touch. Now, if just because the husband has left the country and he's living abroad, that doesn't mean that the couple is emotionally detached. They're emotionally attached. So when a couple is emotionally attached, it is again talking to the husband about husband and wife talking to each other about faith, about iman, about good things, would encourage. For example, I got an opportunity like this. Alhamdulillah, I did istikhara and I got it. Did this. I prayed and made dua for the whole of last week. Alhamdulillah, I have got it. We talk about a lot of things related to our spirituality. So it's not only doing good, but also talking in that manner would encourage our partners to be in touch with the religion. So even though they are living in separate countries, one thing for sure is like couples telling each other that I have made dua for you, I have made dua for this particular issue. That when the other person hears this, they also start making dua for their partner. So when people have this habit of making dua in their lives, they get connected to Allah on a very personal level. So focus on those things. Maybe online you can have a halaqah together where you read and your husband is listening to you during the video call. Alhamdulillah, today we have this technology. So where you read and he listens, and he reads and you listen, and both discuss about the reflections of those stories and hadith and Quranic verses. Inshallah, these methods would be helpful, inshallah. Is that clear, sister? Okay. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept this gathering, and hope to see all of you all again next week on Sunday, where we'll be talking about how to build the love as a couple. So today we have covered the faith, the spiritual side of it, and next time, inshallah, we will cover on the emotional and love aspect. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.